It's time for GrizzBeat, a full court press of highlights, insights, news, and scoops covering the Grizzlies and the NBA. Catch up each week on the latest Grizz buzz with regional and national insiders locked in on our squad. Running point from Grind City Media Studios, our host, Jarvis Greer.
Come up. Yeah, I know it was a late night, and it didn't end the way that most people would want, especially if you're a Grizz fan. But we are here for GrizzBeat nonetheless, and as always, we've got a great panel for you, lined up and ready to talk about what happened last night and what's coming up next for the Memphis Grizzlies. Joining us here in studios here at 191 Beale Street, we've got the one and only Lang Whitaker, who does everything with Grind City Media, and also with the Grizz gaming team. You got your thumbs ready to go because that season's about to crank, right?
My thumbs are down after the way the Grizzlies game went last night. Yeah, but I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go. And also joining us in studio, a special treat because we have the TV voice of the Memphis Grizzlies broadcaster, Pistol Pete Pranica, joining us in here today. And boy, were you throwing things at your TV like I was last night?
Yes.
Pete?
Fortunately, they were soft things, or otherwise I'd be in the market for a new TV.
Yeah, and they're getting more expensive, by the way. But I tell you what, it was one of those things where it was the lowest of lows, the highest of highs, and then the lowest of lows. And some of everything happened in that game last night. Of course, you know, the Grizzlies going out in the first play-in game out at Golden State in San Francisco. Chase Center full of those rabid Golden State fans, and the Grizzlies put on a show. They hung in there, got down 20, came back, and had the lead late, back and forth, but end up just couldn't put it away and fall 121-116. And, you know, this all came down to, there were so many things in this game, guys, that happened, but a lot of people point to what happened at the very end of the game. 5 seconds left, the Grizz down 3, with a chance to inbound the ball and maybe get off that 3 to send it to overtime. And you see it right here. It just didn't happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They blow a 5-second count on the Grizzlies, even though Ja was being held by Gary Payton.
Yeah.
You know that ankle wasn't feeling that good. He couldn't have the explosion to get away. Tuomas Isolo not very happy at the execution. No one in Memphis happy. Santi, you know, he's just like, hey, man, I'm trying to do what I got to do, but it did not work out. But, guys, you got to get the ball in. I mean, you know, all players have a clock in their head, plus the ref standing there right beside you, giving off the count. And sometimes you just got to get the ball in and hope for the best.
I feel like I know everyone's looking at that play and saying, oh, this is the killer moment. To me, like, I mean, one play doesn't make or win or lose a game. And, yeah, that was a bad inbounds play. It didn't work. But also the Warriors were going to foul as soon as we threw. It's not like we were going to get a three-pointer off. You know how the Warriors are a good team. Steve Kerr's a good coach. He knows what to do in that situation.
Right. The entry pass had to go outside the arc.
Yes.
And supposedly the play was for Desmond Bane, and Ja was the decoy on the play. Ja couldn't get any separation because he was being held by GP2. And so it doesn't work out. Grizzlies also were out of timeouts.
Right.
And it's been a recurrent theme for this young, in terms of playoff years, Grizzlies team. The late game execution just has not been there. But again, it's not one play decided this game. You turn the ball over 20 times on the road in a playoff or play-in game. That's a big number to overcome.
I thought the more consequential play was at 2 minutes when Ja turned it over, trying to throw it to Edey. I mean, it was a 2-point game at that moment. And if Edey gets that pass, and Draymond got a finger on it, but if Edey's able to score there, it's a tie game with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, and then I think right after that, Steph hit a 3.
Yep.
And so that was really, really, really difficult. But, you know, it's like one thing, though, about it on that particular play that you mentioned, it's like Zach was open. And Ja saw him, and Ja's not a selfish player.
Yeah.
He tried to throw it, but it just did not get enough height on it. And, I mean, we've seen Draymond jump center against Zach and win a tip. Draymond 6'7", but what's he got, a 7'2" reach or something or other like that?
Depends when he's hanging on your arm or not.
Yeah, that's also true. But, you know, there are just plays, and I think, Pete, you know, we were talking before the show started here that, you know, you're going up against a team that has been in how many championship situations and all their players. You know, we got to see playoff Jimmy Butler last night. This is his first year with the team.
Unfortunately.
But the rest of those guys, they've been around.
So I looked at the numbers this morning. Butler, Curry, and Green, a combined 423 playoff games. The Grizzlies' big three, Ja, Jaren, and Dez, a combined 65 playoff games. Playoff experience matters.
Oh, definitely.
Golden State has been in these types of moments over and over and over again. And also Steve Kerr has been in these moments over and over and over again. Tomas Isilo, this is learning on the fly. I mean, a year ago he's coaching in Paris, and now all of a sudden he's the head coach and on Friday will be an elimination game in the NBA. The dichotomy is stark between the two teams and their key people.
It's not just their big three. I mean, Gary Payton II has played a ton of playoff games. Kevon Looney has been a big part of this playoff run for them. And when you go to the Grizzlies bench, then you're similarly no playoff experience there. So, yeah, that to me is a bigger thing. The Jimmy Butler, does playoff Jimmy Butler mean you shoot a lot of free throws?
Playoff, play-in, postseason
so
Jimmy Butler.
I found a fun stat. So this season with the Warriors, Jimmy Butler has shot and made more free throws than field goals.
More free throws than field goals?
Yeah, like that. I mean, he gets to the line. That's what he does.
That's what he does.
Steph Curry gets to the line. That's what the two of them combined for 31 free throw attempts last night. The Grizzlies shot 23.
And and you look at it like that and say, wow, I got hosed by the official. Well, I mean, the Grizzlies were fouling.
Sure.
They're fouling. But sometimes, there was that phantom foul call they call on Scotty Pippen Jr. And even Jimmy Butler, if you watched the game last night, even when he went to the line, he had that away with one. But and sometimes they have a way of evening out. But if you're superstars, there is such a thing as superstar calls, and you want your big three to be able to get some of those calls when they're in that situation.
Right, and the ball's been in Jimmy Butler's hands, so there's greater likelihood he is going to draw fouls. I think Golden State before he got there were last in the league in free throw attempts per game.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's the savvy veteran who knows how to draw contact, and he knows how the officials are going to look at it. And so he's very, like a James Harden. He can game the game.
And if superstars get calls, Josh shot 3 free throws, Desmond Bain shot 3 free throws, Jaren Jackson shot 2. Like those guys, it's not like and Desmond was going to the basket every time he had the ball.
We had downhill Des a lot. He was going for the floaters.
Ja goes into the paint and tries to get shots off too. So like for some reason all season long, we've seen Ja not getting those calls, and there's a dichotomy there.
Well, however that went down as far as the officials, I'm not going to blame it on the officials. There's some guys that got to step up on this team, and their big guys were big. And they were like really big. Yeah. And unfortunately for Memphis, Jaren had a good game, but it wasn't good enough. He wasn't Jaren in the paint, 2 for 6 in the paint. He was better from 3 than he was, inside the paint. And a lot of those running layups that he's pretty good at. And I think that was a telling factor too early.
That was a telling factor too. And I mean, this Grizzlies team only 22 22 against 20 turnovers. I mean, that's not the way the Grizzlies want to play.
I think the Grizz averaged like 28 assists. They're one of the better assist teams.
Yeah, it was a franchise record this year, 28.6, I think it was. Right. And, it's not been there. The other thing, too, and you alluded to it, the Grizzlies bench has not been there in any substantial form. You got 14 from Santi Aldama. That three-pointer that Luke Kennard makes at the end of the first quarter, that's it.
That's all. That's it. That's all.
It would also,
Oh, yeah, because Scotty was a starter.
Right.
So, and that was a good move. I'm going to give Coach credit for that.
That worked out really well.
That was a good move. You could you go Scotty, Vince, or maybe even Lamar, like I talked about. But Scotty was the choice, and he went in and played. He gave everything for every minute he was out there.
It's kind of crazy to say he did a good job on Steph Curry when he had 37 points, but
that's better than 52. I'll put it that way.
I think Jessica Benson pointed out last night, going into the fourth quarter, Steph had only made 2 3-pointers.
Right.
They had done a good job chasing him off those screens, running him or chasing him around the court, but he's so like relentless. And when you watch him play, like the word I've always used with the Warriors is it feels inevitable. Like you just know at some point it's going to happen. And they just hang around, and then have that explosion. And
with that, there was a stat. What's that thing they wear on their wrist that keeps track of, how many? Yeah. He did 2.9 miles last night.
Like the FedEx tracker.
The FedEx 2.9. That's like the most he's ever done in a playoff game. So that shows you that at his age, what is he, 37 now?
I don't know.
He's still running. And he had to in order to.
I walked 2.5 miles on Mud Island this morning, taking my dog out.
I did. We did. My wife and I did 2.5
the
other night. Walked down and saw the river about to come over.
We might be old too, but we're hanging in there.
I've got to get the inner tube out next. But we're talking about the point guard play. Ja got injured last night in the game where he turned his ankle. He made a tough baseline shot and turned that right ankle late in the third quarter. He's averaging 30.2 points, 5.8 assists, and shooting 41.3% on three-pointers, which is much better than his season average, which is a little bit better than 30%. So the Grizz are 30-20 in games with Morant when he is available this season, and he did what he could do, but, coming down there at the end, it did not have that explosiveness that you are normally expect from Ja Morant. He had this to say after the game.
Well enough to go back out there on the court.
Did you feel like you could, do some of the things you typically do late in the fourth quarter? Like, did you feel that your ankle was okay enough to do that?
Yeah. We just was rolling with the hot hand. Trust those guys like they trust me.
And when you're on the side just trying to walk it off, what are you kind of telling yourself in your head, trying to, just fight through it and tell yourself that you're good enough to get in?
Nothing. That's already instilled in my head.
What did it take for you guys to rally back from 20 to make it a game and give yourself a possession to try to send it to overtime?
Guys started battling since the urgency picked up. Was able to rebound the ball and build some momentum.
How important is it to take those same things to start Friday's game and just kind of put this one behind?
Season be over if you don't. Simple.
On that final violation, did you feel like you were held like when Garrett?
Nah, it wasn't coming to me anyway. Yeah, I was a decoy.
What do you think this type of experience can do for Zach, just having as much as he had on this plate in this game?
He played well. Definitely was a force for us. Definitely can, build some momentum from this game. A lot more confidence, and just keep going with it.
What's the next couple of days going to be like for you? Trying to get back and make sure you can be available.
Whatever coach has planned on the schedule for us.
Do you feel like
I'm playing. That's basically the answer I'm giving. It ain't nothing different.
You saw his look on his face when he was first asked that question, and when he said that, you got a game coming up, he said, no, this is it, season's over. Yeah. And so you could tell John wants to play. Oh, yeah. John needs to play for this team to have a chance to do anything the rest of this postseason.
Without any question. I mean, without Ja Morant, it becomes very, very difficult. So the question is, Ja will play. I don't have any doubt that he will, but the question is, will he be compromised in any way, shape, or form? Because he relies on speed, he relies on explosiveness. What will that right ankle allow him to do? That remains to be seen. Now, you've got a couple days between games. You don't play again until Friday. So you've got some time. The Grizzlies will be flying back, and he's going to get the absolute best treatment he possibly can get. It's just a matter of how quickly he heals and how well he will be able to maneuver on Friday.
Of all his maladies and injuries he's had over the years, if it's an ankle, he seems to pop back fairly quickly from that.
I guess the other good thing to look at it, if you're trying to find something half full in this glass, is that neither Dallas or Sacramento has one of those lightning quick point guards. Right. Sacramento did. They traded De'Aaron Fox away. Dallas had Kyrie. He's out. So if you're Ja, I would think either of these matchups probably worked in your favor versus having to go play a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or somebody like that right away. I think to your point, Pete, we've seen Ja. If there's a chance he can play, he's going to do what it takes to get out there.
Yeah, if it's Dallas and he has to match up against Dante Exum, Exum is not going to thrill anybody with his speed.
No, and Ja, even with that bad ankle, he still got in the lane a couple of times and got that patented floater off. I do think it hurt him a little bit on the defensive end of rebounding, because there was a couple times where he had a chance at a rebound and he just did not get up quick enough.
Yeah.
But, that hopefully those things will work out. Somebody who did everybody wants to talk about the big man, Zach Edey. I think Wilt Chamberlain was the one to say it. Everybody sees the big guy because you're the biggest thing out there. Yeah. Everything you do is magnified. But Zach Edey finished with a game-high 17 rebounds to go along with his 14 points. And a lot of those points were late in the game when the Grizzlies really need to have it. He's tallied double figures in points and rebounds in 4 of the last 9 games, which shows progress there. And he's averaging a career-high 30.8 minutes per game in the month of April. That could be due to the coaching change to Tuomas Isolo. It's leaving him out there longer, letting him play through some of his mistakes. But, without Zach Edey, you're not even in that game at the end, I don't think.
Exactly. And I think part of the reason that Zach continues to be out there is because you don't have Brandon Clark.
True.
Yeah.
And right now I don't know that the coaching staff has confidence in Marvin Bagley to put him out there, because Bagley would be another big that conceivably you could put in that situation. You know, I go back to draft night, and when people were so hyped about Klingon and so down on Edey, and I'll tell you what, I think the Grizzlies made the absolute right choice with Zach Edey. I think it's taken him some time to acclimate to the pro game, and I think he's done it very, very well. And the fact that he's playing this many minutes partially is due to injury, but to your point, I think Tuomas Isalo is very, very confident in him and his continued development, and that's why he's on the floor as much as he is, and he's responding with productivity.
I was wondering if last night we might see some J. Huff minutes, only because the Warriors are trying to spread the floor, and he'll spread the floor back and kind of draw out some guys and open the lane a little bit. There was times last night where Edey caught the ball and, you know, it seemed like you could almost see the wheels turning in his head as he tried to figure out where's the double team, what's going on. And that'll come the more he plays. But my takeaway was, you know, if his floor is 14 points and 17 rebounds in a playing game, like, I'll live with that.
Yes.
You know, like as a rookie, okay, great. Let's see where it goes from here.
And let's see what the guy himself, the big man himself, Zach Edey, had to say about his performance last night with the Grizzlies against the Warriors.
Yeah, it's definitely a matchup where we're living with them taking some threes. I'm okay with that. If it means I'm in the paint taking away layups or taking away other guys' threes. Sometimes that's matchups that we'll live with.
Zach, what you learned about the NBA this season, how important is it to sort of take what you can from this one, turn a page, and we got one more shot to salvage the season?
It's big. I mean, people always talk about every possession matters, and that's kind of what the game was. It was a one-possession game, and they were one possession better.
How much was this game individually a test for you? Because you know you were going to play a very important role in a game like this.
Yeah, it's definitely a test. My first experience in the playoffs in a game like this. It's definitely a test.
Did it live up to what you thought it would be like?
At the end of the day, it's still just basketball. It's not a different sport. It's not nothing I play. It's the same game I play all year, same team we played all year. In the playoffs, obviously, every possession matters because every game is super important. And I think that's the big difference. But it's nothing I haven't seen before.
Having said that, though, not many rookies have to kind of endure everything you guys had to endure this season, from injuries to the coaching change and all those. But to have one more shot on Friday, what's the mindset have to be going into Friday's game?
Just like every other game, just win the game.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Man, a few words, but I tell you what,
Just win the game.
just go win the game.
What was it? Herman Edwards, you play to win the game.
That is exactly right, and that's all you need to know about Zach Edey. The one thing in his maturation going forward, the way that he is able to get rebounds, he gets offensive rebounds. He just needs to learn how to get his elbows out, and so when they come at him and grab and chop and hack, which they will do because he's the big guy. Keep your elbows out and let him hit elbow, you know. And then, but I think he should, like a lot of times, like this rebound here. You get a rebound, just go back up straight. Don't always look to pass it out because you become too predictable.
Right. Well, that's today's NBA. I'll give up a layup for a three-point try. Here's another thing about Zach Edey that I really, really like. This is old school. Outlet passes.
Yeah.
Get a defensive rebound and throw it to half court. Find your outlet guy and start the fast break that way. But I think he's done a really good job of acclimating himself to the NBA game. You know, early in the season, and you referenced letting him, you could see the wheels turning.
Yeah.
They're not turning quite as much as they were in the early part of the
Well,
season.
sure.
He's certainly gotten better with that. And he's done a better job of anticipating where passes are going to come from. Because the early part of the season, he really struggled to make catches in the post because he wasn't quite sure where passes were coming from. And when John Morant's passing you the basketball, it's probably coming with a lot of pace.
Yeah, and that's one thing, you know, we talked about before, I have, is that you pass it to him high. And his teammates have to know, right, he can catch it high. But if you're throwing it around his waist in traffic like those little pocket passes, he can't get him down there to get the ball, or the defense is knocking him away.
Well, I think that's also partly because when he was at Purdue, he didn't play with guards like John Morant and Desmond Bane, and they were to get him the ball, they just lobbed it into the post. Now he's playing, you know, these guys are making pocket passes. These guys are throwing passes that he's probably not used to catching. He's never had guards like this to play with. So there's some maturation and some development that's going to take place. But like we were saying, if this is the floor, I'm fine with this.
Well, you also have to remember he's only played 6 years of basketball because he played hockey and baseball. Like, can you see him as a baseball? He's a catcher.
Yeah.
He's like the strike zone's over the top.
In
of the
hockey,
guy's
what was
bat.
he in hockey? I mean, he should have been a goalie. Nobody could get it past him.
No, you can't. They got the pads out, and they're not getting it in there. So this brings us to who will the Grizz play, and who do you want to see the Grizzlies play? They got two choices, and the teams play tonight. Sacramento and Dallas meet up in the 9-10 game for the right to play Memphis on Friday night. If it's the Kings, it'll be Zach LaVine. He ranks second in the NBA in three-point percentage. Wow, shooting almost 45%. And that's just behind, you know who, Steph Curry, who's just barely a percentage point better. The Kings rank fourth in the NBA in free throw percentage. They shoot it really well, and 10th in points per game. They score a lot. And the Kings won the regular season series 2-1. They've won 6 of the past 7 matchups. You see Zach LaVine right there, but the one that really scares me in this matchup is Sabonis, Arvidas' kid.
And don't forget DeMar DeRozan.
And DeMar
that was what I was
DeRozan.
thinking.
He's another kind of Jimmy Butler-like kind of player who loves it in the paint. He's not much of a three-point
He's a
shooter.
mid-range guy, yeah.
But it's like, Sabonis always seems to get 20 rebounds against us. And they also got JV on the team, Jonas Valanciunas.
Yeah.
And I think he's the playoff king. He's played more play-in king.
Yeah.
He's played more play-in games than anybody.
Well, and this is a game, you look at the highlights from Sacramento, this is a game the Grizzlies really should have won. But the problem, one of the issues with the Grizzlies this year is when somebody goes off, and LaVine and DeRozan were going off, and the Grizzlies could not shut off the water. And that was the biggest issue in this particular matchup between these two teams. Grizzlies won the only game that was in Memphis this year. 2 games in Sacramento went to the Kings. I just think
That's only because of the California jinx. They did not win in California.
Yeah, well, and the other thing, too, is that Sacramento probably would not have Malik Monk. He's dealing with a calf strain, and the word out of Sacramento is that he would not be available until and if the Kings make the playoffs. And that is definitely a loss to them. Also, Jake LaRavia won't be available to play, and Jake was key to Sacramento in that last matchup
win,
in Sacramento.
I mean, but it also works the other way, because I was thinking the first time we played in Sacramento, remember, Jalen Wells couldn't miss.
Oh, he was 7 for 8
He was
for 3.
red
I think
hot.
he would have been
Yeah.
8 for 9 because one of them he got fouled on and it went in, but they said it was on the floor.
So not having Jalen,
was a 30-point
That's
game for
another, like we were talking about last night, and the defensive jobs. Like, I think we haven't mentioned him at all on this show. We talked about Brandon Clark not being there, but not having Jalen Wells, I think you're starting to see where that really hurts you too right now.
It does, but it's one of those things where you got to be next man up. And
Sure.
that brings us to the 24-second validation here on GrizzBeat. It's something that we started a little bit ago, and it seemed to have worked really well. You guys know the drill, right? You got.
What about the Mavs?
What about, I'm going past the Mavs. Yeah, I'm trying to go past the Mavs because the Grizzlies dismissed them last week. Thank you, CJ, from that. CJ behind the glass, keeping us straight here on GrizzBeat. The Mavericks, that's the other team in that game tonight. And they got Anthony Davis. Oh, my God. He has just totally owned the Grizzlies whenever they played. But he hasn't faced them since he was traded to the Mavs back in February. Dallas ranks 7th in the NBA in blocks and 10th in team field goal percentage. So they shoot well, and they don't allow you to shoot it with much percentage. And the Grizzlies won the regular season series 3-1 and won 5 of the last 7. But this ain't the same team, basically, that the Grizzlies have faced, because they will have Edey. They will have Daniel Gafford. And do you think they could have Lively back for this game?
I think they could have Lively back for this game. Just about Sacramento and Dallas. Dallas lost all 3 games to Sacramento. And Sacramento scored 120-plus in 2 of the 3. And the last 2 of those came after the trade. But again, I don't think Davis played in either of the games against Sacramento after the trade. This is an interesting Dallas team. Spencer Dinwiddie had a good game against Sacramento for them. And I don't know what you take from the season finale.
The season finale,
because everybody was sitting everywhere. P.J. Washington is going to be back. And P.J. Washington is he's a real problem. Najee Marshall, I thought, didn't play well against the Grizzlies on Sunday. Najee Marshall is a guy who can certainly hurt you. This Dallas team, they have used, I think, maybe the second most different starting lineups this year. So it's hard to really get a handle on this Dallas team. But the Anthony Davis piece, we talk about free throws and free throw shooting.
Yeah.
I remember Anthony Davis albeit with the Lakers, Lang. Shoot like 20 free throws. I think he almost had double digits in a quarter
I think
against the Grizzlies.
25 and a quarter, wasn't it? Something like that.
It was a crazy number. Yeah.
I mean, with these two teams, I'd rather play Dallas. And I think Anthony Davis of these two teams is probably the best player from either team. But players 2, 3, and 4 to me are all on Sacramento between Zach LaVine, Sabonis, and DeMar DeRozan. Like, he's going to get calls too. And we're a team that fouls a lot or gets called for a lot of fouls. So I think of those two, like if you can slow down Anthony Davis on the second night off, coming off of 1 night rest basically. But the Grizzlies having an extra night of rest in there between these two teams, playing here at FedEx Forum with the fans behind them, I would rather play Dallas than Sacramento.
Well, that'll be an 8:30 tip here at FedEx Forum. And now we'll get to the 24-second validation. And this is the question. The Grizzlies, who is the player that is the next one to step up to come and make the splash for Memphis? Is going to have to be, because it's do or die Friday night here in Memphis, Tennessee against either Dallas or Sacramento. And we will start with Lang Whitaker. You got 24 seconds on the clock to make your decision. Who is it that will step up for Memphis? Go.
You know what? I'm going to go with Santi Aldama. And I know he scored 14 points in this game, but I think there was a lot of plays where he probably could have asserted himself a little more. He was a guy who for a lot of this season was in the running for 6th man of the year, and now he's kind of getting a lot of talk and, hey, he should have thrown the ball in. What was that play about? This is Santi's chance to redeem himself on a big stage.
All right, got it in under, and the clock just goes off. Very good. Well done, Lang Whitaker. We'll go to Pete Pranica now. It is your turn to put 24 seconds on the clock. Who do you think will be the man to step up next for the Grizzlies?
I think it has to
Go.
be – thank you. I think it has to be Luke Kennard. I mean, Luke Kennard only got 2 shots last night, and one of those was to close the first quarter, made a 3. His production, his shot numbers have been down. The assist numbers have been down as well. Last night only had 1 assist. And if Ja Morant is compromised and you need an additional playmaker, Luke Kennard has to be a playmaker and a shot maker if the Grizzlies are to advance.
Oh, look at that. Got in under the buzzer, too. There goes the clock. That's because he's a professional, y'all. He knows what he's doing. Okay, so my turn. Who do I think will be the man who steps up off the bench? Since you guys were really good and took the 2 of the ones I was really thinking about. Start the clock, CJ. Here we go. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Jay Huff.
Oh.
Jay Huff, the Huff stuff. Jay Huff, the block master. Jay Huff, he is sneaky. Well, he's not sneaky athletic. He's an athlete. He's long. He's lean. None of these, other than Sabonis, who is a tank, basically, not really built, look like a tank, but he is a tank on the inside. None of these players on either one of these teams bother me. And there you go. That's who we say. We got 3 different
players.
You got Luke Kennard,
I got
Pete.
Santi.
You got Santi, and I say Jay Huff. We will see what we will see on Friday night. We got another segment coming up here on GrizzBeat. We're going to go around the NBA. A lot of talk happening in the association. We'll have it for you after the break.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GBWR.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
I did a video and I thought it was pretty funny, and I said, well, I'm gonna post it on TikTok and see what it does. You know, we watched Alabama beat Miami. We had no idea that the video was blowing up the whole time we were beating Miami, or we would have kept doing it. Yeah. So I told Tide roll. The Tide, tell them, Willie. Tide roll, baby. That's what they do.
We always gonna get beat because you cannot mess with the Tide.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I see people who look like me and were born probably in the same decade as me, watching all of these young people jump into the transfer portal and saying, it's ridiculous. You got to stop thinking about this like it's a normal college experience. It is not. You know what the priority is? Maximize your earning potential for every year of eligibility you have left. That's what this is about now. These are jobs.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Hey, Grizz fam, take your game and your swag to the next level this summer. Register your youth player for any Junior Grizzly summer camp presented by Ortho South during the month of April. And you know what? You'll be entered to win an autographed Nike Ja 1 shoe. How about that? For more information on the camp, this is what you got to do. Go to grizzlies.com/Junior Grizzlies. That's grizzlies.com/Junior Grizzlies. I might want to lie on my driver's license and go in there and get a Ja 1 myself. I don't think that's possible, though, but it's a thought. Hey, coming up now, let's talk about this. The play-in is going on. We talk about the play-in games coming up tonight in the association. And, of course, we've got the one that the Grizzlies are interested in with Sacramento visiting Dallas in the 9-10 game. And over the eastern side, we've got the game coming up tonight between the Chicago Bulls at the Miami Heat. Let's take the East first. The Heat and the Bulls. Who do you got in that one, Pete Pratt?
I know that it's hard to beat a team 4 times in a row, but I'm going to take Chicago in this. Chicago's defense against Miami has been really, really good this year. And how about this? Josh Giddey is averaging a triple-double in the 3 games against Miami this year. He's averaging 26, 10, and 10 on 58% shooting, 53% from 3. And Buzelis is averaging 18 points per game. This Miami team, they're kind of in the do we really want to be in the playoffs? Yeah. They're in that kind of funky place. They have Bam Adebayo. You know whether a hero can be a hero.
Tyler Hero former Kentucky star.
Exactly. I think Chicago right now.
Bam.
Yeah. Bam will play well. Hero will play well. Beyond that, I don't know. Yeah. And so that's why Chicago has had it all over Miami this year. Chicago's at home at United Center. I think Chicago wins it.
I think so, too. If you're just looking at these 2 teams in a vacuum, Miami, for so long, you could count on them to just show up and compete every night. And this year, that wasn't there in the second half of the season. And the Chicago team has been bad for a couple of years now. And this year, all of a sudden, it started to change. And they were pretty good the last 2-3 months. So, other than Bam and Tyler Hero, I don't know from Miami, are you looking for Jaime Jaquez? Are you looking for Duncan Robinson? Who's going to step up and get you going? I think the Chicago team actually feels like they should win this game, and they have a little confidence going into this match.
Yeah, I think Duncan Robinson was a thing for a while, but that's kind of played out. Jaquez is coming on. Yeah. But I think, with the players that they have in Chicago, they're hungry, and then the Josh Giddey seems to really be working out well there for them. All right, on the side for the Grizzlies, we talked about who we would like to see the Grizz play, but who do you think is going to win this game tonight between Sacramento and Dallas?
Sacramento.
Lane Whitaker. You're going to say Sacramento.
Yeah, they've beaten them many times this season. And like Pete said, it's hard to beat a team. Was it 4
times in a row? Yeah. But Dallas has lost 3 times to Sacramento. So.
Yeah, so I would take Sacramento. I just think they have too much firepower. They score a lot of points. And Dallas, like we talked about, how the vibes are kind of weird with the Heat this year. I mean, I don't know if there's any NBA city where the vibes are worse than Dallas right now. So if I'm Sacramento, and people are still, Sacramento had their own upheaval earlier this season with the coaching thing, but I think those fans there and the way that team has kind of persevered through this season, I just feel like they're the team that's going to win this game. Well,
we'll talk about Dallas and their dysfunction in a minute, a little bit more on that. But first, let's go to another team that's in dysfunction, and that's the Phoenix Suns. Yeah. They've fired a coach. They finished
again.
Yeah, again. Yeah. They finished 36-46, 10 games under 500, with a roster that has. And you can see the tweet right here.
Highest salary in NBA history.
Yeah, they're talking about. They don't know really what they want to do. I think Devin Booker might be the only one left out of the group that's there. Does somebody have a no-trade clause on
Bradley Beal?
Bradley Beal, yeah. He's got a no trade clause, but he can go if he wants to, I guess.
He got traded on that no trade clause before,
Right,
yeah,
right.
to Phoenix,
and did not really pan out. I think, and I don't know. I'm kind of interested in your opinion. I think the era of the buy a super team is now over.
Huh.
Right.
Because that's essentially what Matt Ishbia tried to do.
That's
Try,
right.
try to put together the super team. I don't care how much it costs,
Yeah.
and it failed spectacularly.
I don't know if I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting point. I mean, it might not be over if you buy the right players. That's part of the problem. Was they 1/3 of the
Well, it
super
used to
team
be-
is Bradley Beal, and
It
you
used
kind
to
of
be
knew.
you had the trio. Now it looks like they're going with the duo because
Yeah.
we got LeBron and Luka in with the Lakers, and now you got goodness gracious, Jimmy Butler and Steph. What we just saw. in
Draymond's still
Golden
there,
State.
though. I mean, he's
Well,
not
yeah,
an
and
offensive
they still
player.
have some veterans there that know what to
I
do.
think that's part of it, though, is also like, you're going to buy a super team, but you got to invest in the others around those guys. And in Phoenix, that's been a real issue, is just trying to find another guy to start alongside that team.
Really quickly, what's the best way to do it? Is homegrown? Because the Grizzlies are trying to do it homegrown. Milwaukee did real well with that, with keeping Giannis and that crew together.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, Oklahoma City. They're all homegrown, and
Yeah.
they're making playoff noises now. Or do you go out there if you're like the big market teams that can do it and snatch somebody else?
I kind of feel like you have to find a combination of the two, because Oklahoma City did go sign Hartenstein and Alex Caruso to be like
they got
veteran
veterans
guys to
to
help
go
out.
along with the young guys.
Milwaukee went and traded for Drew Holiday when they
Yes.
made their title run, and now they went and got Damian Lillard. So I think it's about finding those guys. I mean, look at Boston with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, both guys they drafted. But they've kind of been able. They went and got Drew Holiday. They got Al Horford, Porzingis. They went and got older players around them. So I think you got to find the right mix of the two. Like you said, this Grizzlies team, we have this homegrown group of guys. Almost the entire team is homegrown. At some point, you got to figure out who are the other guys we're going to bring in to add to that culture.
to accentuate that.
And the key thing is fit. How does everything fit together?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could bring in a great big name, but if it don't fit, it don't.
My high school basketball coach had written on the blackboard, "Chemistry, our most important subject," and I was like, I didn't really understand it at the time.
Well, I'm at the wrong spot.
No, but now I get it. He was.
Shoot.
Now
you
it
can
makes
have
sense.
guys that aren't really all that great, though, but the sum of the parts is better than the individual, and that's what That's the formula that's got to be worked out. Didn't work out in Dallas, and it's not working out for Nicco. What's Nicco's last name?
Harrison.
Nicco Harrison. That's right, the general manager in Dallas, and he put out this tweet. It said, "There's no regret on the trade for trading Luka Doncic. Some of the decisions I'm going to make are going to be unpopular, and that's my job. If I still have it, I have to stand by it." And I don't know how much longer he'll be standing by it. Do you think if Mark Cuban was still the principal owner that they would have made that move?
No, absolutely not. I talked to some people from Dallas, and they said, absolutely, if Mark Cuban knew about this, no way it would have happened. And it's interesting because the new owner wants a new arena. He wants legalized sports gambling in Texas, and he wants to build his casino next to a new arena. Now, do you pay Luka Doncic? But then I was told by multiple people with Dallas is that it was definitely Nicco Harrison that made this deal. It was not the owner that was pushing for it, because the owner didn't want to pay going down the line. Look, Nicco Harrison is not going to say, "Yeah, I screwed up." He's gonna try to put a brave face on it, and it was funny. I was talking with the.
Well, the owner had to approve the trade.
Well, the owner had to approve, but the owner's more worried about his casino.
I don't think the owner knows anything about basketball.
No, he's more worried about his casino. But I was talking with some of the Mavericks broadcasters, and they literally had to talk through. They left no dead air, because if they left dead air in their microphones, the fire Nicco chants could be heard on their headsets going out over the air. That's how bad it is.
I've known Nicco for a long time, because when I was at Slam, he was at Nike, and he was Kobe's guy at Nike. So I interacted with him through the years. And then even when he was in Dallas, I was here, and I got to see him a couple of times a year. I think people forget that, he put together a finals team.
Oh, yeah.
Just a year ago, with some of the moves they made, and they all kind of panned out, and it was great. I think the quote that we showed, there was two things in there, and they can both be true, even if they don't agree with each other, which was, yes, it's my job to make hard decisions. That's the job of the general manager. But sometimes you make the wrong decisions, and I think this was clearly not the right move to make.
Well, it all just shows you're only as good as your last trade or your last draft pick, or that's because that's just the way it is in professional sports. And maybe Nicco will have a job, or maybe he'll be I don't know, somewhere else, but not in the association. Now let's go to this. we got, of course, SGA is the favorite for the MVP, right?
Yeah.
But Nikola Jokic,
Yeah, I don't know if
he's
the
making some moves here. He had a triple double. You got Russell Westbrook you see how many triple doubles he had, and the big O Oscar Robertson. Pete, you remember Oscar Robertson personally, right? And so,
from the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah,
I remember him.
I remember
was
seeing
a
him
little
on
too young.
television,
Yeah.
but it's like, wow. He's averaged a triple double for his career, and he had a tweet about it, and it's really something to see that he's going to average a triple double, and he probably won't get the MVP.
I think part of it, Lang, I don't know how you feel about it.
I don't know how you feel either. I'm curious. Okay. I am curious. I was wondering, as he was reading, I was like, I wonder what Pete thinks about this.
Hey, Pete, what do you think about that?
Well, here's what I think about it. I think SGA will win it because of MVP fatigue for Jokic, because he won it 3 times already.
I think so too.
Like, what more can he do? And when you look overall, the team success for Oklahoma City,
Right.
I think that will sway a lot of voters.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Best team in the West, best player on the best team, MVP. But if you look at the advanced numbers, when Jokic is on the floor, when he's off the floor, they're just crazy numbers.
Yeah.
And so if you really want to take it in a vacuum this year, the most valuable player, I think Jokic definitely has a case. I don't think he'll win it. I think everybody's going to go, well, SGA, best player on best team, and Jokic already has it 3 times, and Jokic probably doesn't care if he gets it a 4th time.
I think Jokic not only has a case, I think he is the most valuable player in the NBA because, like you said, look at all that Thunder team is so good, and it doesn't seem to matter who plays any night. They've set a record for the biggest point differential for the season. Yeah. They're killing everybody every night, no matter who's out there. Yes, Shea's been out there most of the time. He's great. But this award is not the best player in the league award. It's the most valuable player. And to me, if you look at that Denver team, other than Jokic, I think he's never had an all-star teammate, I think is the stat. Aaron Gordon's been hurt this year.
Jamal Murray
maybe
made
years ago,
yeah.
But this year he didn't have any.
No.
And if you look at that team, and Jamal Murray's been hurt all year, Aaron Gordon's been hurt, Michael Porter Jr. hasn't been what he's been. For them to be a playoff team, it's sort of miraculous, and go through the coaching change too.
Right.
I would say, to me, Jokic is more valuable to the Nuggets than SGA is to the Thunder.
It's really crazy you bring up the who's the best player versus the MVP. In college, it's most outstanding player.
Yeah.
But in the NBA, it's most valuable player. And there's a very, very subtle difference.
I feel like All-Star is the same thing in the NBA every year because people are like, oh, the best player is this person. And to me, it's who are the biggest stars? It's All-Star. No one cares about the All-Star game. Put the biggest stars there. All-NBA, to me, is the best
different.
players.
Right, that's different.
And that's where SGA, yes, first team All-NBA. But this is who's got the most value to. I always felt Shaq should have won MVP every year when he was in his prime because nobody was more
can
valuable.
deal with him,
right.
yeah.
To any team he was on was him. And I feel that way with Jokic right now, too.
Well, let's talk about one player that is celebrating something that's really good, playing all 82 games, Chris Paul. I think John Roser hates Chris Paul, still does from the time he was at the
Roser hates a lot of people.
Chris Paul has now played all 82 games, and you can see the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys this year that played all 82.
We got to take Mikal Bridges off that list.
Did he get hurt?
No, but in game 82, he started, committed a foul 6 seconds into the game, and didn't play the rest of the game.
To keep his Iron Man streak.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, yeah. Well,
I feel like we should take that one off.
Congrats to Chris Paul, though, because
for sure.
That is quite a feat. And, we'd like to see some guys that wear the Beale Street Blue be in that category. And now this gets us to our own awards graphic right here as far as the last three awards available in the NBA. We've gone through several of them. Yeah. We'll start with today. Let's talk about who we're going to start with. Pete Pranica. Today, you were asked, who are the players on your MVP list or your top list? You just go. We got a graphic. We'll go ahead and show it.
So what we were picking, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year. Yeah. I'm going to go with J.B. Bickerstaff. Obviously, Kenny Atkinson with Cleveland should get a lot of love, but that team was pretty good before he got there. It should be J.B. Bickerstaff, actually, Detroit. Detroit won 14 games last year.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
And not only and it did not like they had this massive remake of their roster. Now Cade Cunningham was healthy, which was a plus.
That definitely helped.
But the change of culture that J.B. Bickerstaff oversaw in Detroit was phenomenal. And so I think he gets that. Castle, as far as rookie of the year, top rookie scorer, led all rookies in fast break points, or was second in fast break points, led in paint points per game, and just the eye test, the times that we saw Castle play against the Grizzlies, for me, he is easily the rookie of the year. And I've got Peyton Pritchard as the sixth man, averaging 14 a game on 47% from the floor, 41% from three. He has a similar net rating to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Well,
when he's on the floor.
His teammates.
So you take those guys off, you bring Peyton Pritchard in. Statistically, there's not a lot of drop-off.
There's no drop-off. Yeah.
And if you remember the game that the Grizzlies won in Boston, Grizzlies were in total control of that game until Peyton Pritchard went off from three and finished with 22 points. So he's my sixth man of the year.
Very good. Let's go to Lane Whitaker. What's
all right. So for Coach of the Year, I went to Oklahoma City with Mark Dagnall because, like we said, they've set the record for the biggest total point differential for the season. They've been pretty good the last couple of years, but it wasn't that long ago. We beat them by 50-something here at FedEx Forum. And I think he's kind of built this culture and got this team just rolling down there. Rookie of the Year, I went with Jaylen. Look, I understand Stephon Castle's been great for a bad Spurs team, but for Jaylen to play a part like this on a team that was in the playoff race all year, to come from nowhere and become a starter and be an Iron Man basically until the very end of the season when he had the freak accident, and to take on the best offensive player every single night and to just we saw him all year just get beat up going off screens and everything and just never say a word, just do his job and fight for his team. I thought that was pretty impressive to me. Sixth man of the year went with Malik Beasley. You know, this is a guy who's kind of bounced around and found a role in Detroit for a team that, like you said, won 14 games a year ago and has made himself a key part of that team, and that fan base loves him there. And I think, if you're going to reward some of these teams for being good, then let's reward Malik Beasley for what he's done with the Pistons.
One other thing about Jalen Wells, more rookie starts than anybody in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yes, and more minutes, I think, played than anybody. So I love that. I love everybody's list so far. Let me hit mine real quick. This is what I thought. I'm going to go with J.B. Bickerstaff as Coach of the Year because, as Pete said, an incredible turnaround from 14 games to 40. What do they got, 44 where they end up with? That just has not been done. And so you got to do that. And then what's the next one?
Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year. I'm going with Stephon Castle for obvious reasons. We've seen what he did. We saw what he did in college at UConn. We've seen what he did with the Spurs, and he had the fortune to have good health at the end of the season. And I thought Jalen Wells was second on that for me on that list. And then for the sixth man of the year, Pete, I agree with you. I think Peyton Pritchard from the Celtics, just because, like you said, he comes in and boom, there's no drop off when their big two are out. He comes in and they keep that going. Plus they shoot 63s a game, and he's out there popping them, and he's hitting a lot of them. And so that's our list right there. We will know soon enough who will win those awards. We got one more break here on GrizzBeat, and we're going to come back and wrap it up after this.
Shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Yesterday was the talk of the town. It was a cow on the side of the road.
Do you live close to a movie theater? I'm just curious because maybe the cow was trying to go to the movies.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I did a video and I thought it was pretty funny, and I said, well, I'm gonna post it on TikTok and see what it does. We watched Alabama beat Miami. We had no idea the video was blowing up the whole time we were beating Miami, or we would have kept doing it. Yeah. So I told
Tide roll.
The Tide, tell them, Willie. Tide roll, baby. That's what they do.
We always gonna get beat because you cannot mess with the Tide.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
The new issue of Slam, the cover dropped, and it is our friend Jaren Jackson Jr. on the cover.
And shout out to you, Lane.
Yeah.
You kept, well, I mean, we knew about it, but you kept this a secret the whole time. So shout out to you for
I wrote
putting
this
this
story.
together.
We did the photo shoot a couple weeks ago here on a Sunday afternoon in the practice court. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Alrighty, big week ahead for the Grizzle right here Friday night at FedEx Forum. It will be the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the winner of the Kings-Mavericks game that's coming up tonight in Dallas. And then that game, the winner of that game will play Memphis right here at FedEx Forum. 8:30 p.m. tip-off on TNT. Unfortunately, we won't have Pete Pranica or Brevin Knight on the call because I guess it's a network obligation, right, Pete?
Yeah, the play-in games are national exclusive, and if the Grizzlies do win that game, they would start Sunday afternoon at the Thunder. That game will be on ABC, we have been informed by the league office.
You say, what, is that a 4:30 tip? Is that what it is?
I think it's earlier. I think it's like 1 or 2.
I think it's a 1 o'clock tip.
A 1 o'clock tip Memphis time. Okay, so you want to hope that the Grizzlies get to do that with the Thunder, but you got to win this game coming up Friday night in order to have a chance to do that. Now, one thing that we have talked about as far as with the Grizzlies trying to make this push, we talked about Ja's ankle. He says he's going to play. He tweaked it last night after stepping on. Whose foot did he?
Nobody.
Step?
He just
he
landed
did
funny.
step on. He did step on.
I don't think so. I think he just landed
I went
funny.
back and watched it this morning.
Buddy Hield.
He stepped on Buddy
Was it?
Hield's foot when he came down off that little floater on the baseline. Just twisted his ankle. He says he's going to play. Of course, Ja is must-see TV, and someone who agrees with that sentiment is Paul Pierce, who was here for Tony Allen night just a couple of weeks ago. And Paul Pierce says he'd pay to watch Ja Morant play, as I do. My wife and I are season ticket holders. But listen to what Paul Pierce had to say about 12.
Yeah, I think he's going to deliver. I think, he's at the point in his career. He needs something to hang his hat on. He's been dealing with a lot of negativity in the press, with the issues he dealt with off the court. And then recently, with the gestures, he got fined for some of the gestures he made on the court. So I think it's important that he deliver and get the win. I mean, you got to forget, Ja, we forget Ja is probably the most exciting player. He's worth the price of admission in the league. I mean, look at this. Between him and Anthony Edwards, and of course, the OGs, Steph, LeBron, and KD, and these guys, but he is really worth the price of admission. I haven't paid for an NBA ticket in quite some time. I will pay to see Ja Morant play just because of some of the things that we saw there. So I think he'll deliver.
To be honest,
I'm not sure the team will deliver, though.
To be honest with you, I think you just sit up here lying. I really don't think you ever paid.
I was about to say, when have you ever?
When have you ever paid
You
for an NBA
completely
ticket?
derailed the conversation. When was the last time you paid
I
for
had to
an
get
NBA
a
ticket?
box for the Laker game versus Celtics. They're not giving that away to me.
Well, not a box, but like,
yeah, but I'm just saying, I paid. I had to pay. That's an NBA game.
A heavy discount.
No heavy discount. Not for Laker games. They tax me.
They tax him.
They tax me.
They should have. They should have doubled it up on you. That's what they should have.
Run that up. Put a couple bottles on there. He didn't order.
Yeah, I think he's going to.
Yeah, well,
trust me, the Lakers do not discount anything.
No, I've been out there at that. What is it, crypto now? No, everything is for sale. Everything has a price. But if you look at Ja, that play he made last night's game, where he went up and he got the guy in front of him. He knew he couldn't get the floater, so he threw it off the backboard, caught it on the other side, and had to adjust and put it back up and in before he hit the ground. I mean, that was awesome. And then you look at the NBA's most viewed clips on social media. He's got like 2 or 3 of them, including number 1, those 2 360s. Pete, you were on the call that game. You and Brevin, both of y'all came out of your chair.
That was crazy. And then, of course, there's a double clutch reverse dunk.
That is the dunk of the
Boston.
year to me.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Ja has to be at least 80% of his normal self, I think, for the Grizzlies to get the win on Friday night. But it has to be a total team effort. Defense has to be better. You hope that you can have a double-digit lead going late so you don't have to worry so much about your late-game execution. And also turnovers.
Yeah.
You cannot turn it over 20 times or otherwise, then the season's going to be over. So I think the Grizzlies have a chance regardless of who they end up playing. I think they have a better chance if Dallas wins tonight. I think it's a better matchup for the Grizzlies because Sacramento just has too much offensive firepower. And when you are lacking a Jalen Wells and a Brandon Clark, that's an issue.
Yeah, Lang Whitaker, we've seen Josh said his determination. He is going to play. Hopefully that will be the fact that they'll get out there, and hopefully they'll bring the intensity. We mentioned earlier that the Grizzlies-Warriors is a good matchup for Memphis in that game. This is going to be a difficult matchup for either one of these teams.
I think Sacramento's probably a better matchup for a team that wants to get up and down the court. But they're going to score a lot of points, and for a team with defensive issues like the Grizzlies, maybe not the best matchup. The one thing about Ja, I'd say, is I tell people this a lot. I've watched probably more NBA basketball than I've done in my life or anything else over the years. And every game, Ja does something that I've never seen before.
Right.
If it's that play, if it's a pass, if it's something, every single game, there's one moment where I go, oh, what in the world?
Oh, it's to bring you out of your seat.
It's unbelievable. And it's been like that since the first game, the first preseason game he played here with the Grizzlies. And I think Pete and I feel like we're lucky to get to watch him every
absolutely.
single night.
Yeah, you're right. And that's new. I haven't seen that one before.
What in the world? Yeah.
Well, let's hope we get to see a lot more of it this year. Of course, we will be back next week at Wednesday at 2 o'clock to tell you all about how the Grizzlies came out. Remember, 8:30 p.m. tip-off Friday night here at FedEx Forum for the Grizzlies and either the Kings or the Mavericks right here at the Grindhouse. Going to have to grind this one out, folks. We'll be on pins and needles waiting for it. We want to thank Lang Whitaker from Grind City Media for being here. Pete Pranica, Pistol Pete, I like to call him. We appreciate it. We love the calls you and Brev have on Fan Duel, and hopefully you'll get to do some more as we go along here in the playoffs. That's it for this edition of GrizzBeat. We'll see you right back here next week, 2 o'clock with more, hopefully talking about some wins and a trip to Oklahoma City. We'll see you then.
That's game. Thanks for running with us for another episode of GrizzBeat. Join us each Wednesday at Grind City Media for all the latest insight and analysis on the Grizzlies.